Hi, this is Zak Mir with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zaks Traders Cafe for Tuesday, the 18th of November, and rather red situation in terms of the index here, with breaking that uptrend line that we had briefly from October around 97.60. Below that was the risk of a test of the initial November support, 95.74, which has already been done. End of day close below that, we're looking at the risk of a move down to the floor of the channel there, 94.10. That channel there from back in June. There is initial support there from the 50-day line, 94.90, but this doesn't look like a situation where the 50-day line will be good enough to hold the market up. Obviously, we've got the suicide mission coming up with the budget, etc., etc. But let's see if the 9400 area provides support. On the upside, well, the mid-November support there, a recent November support around 96.30, perhaps an end-of-day close back above that will save the day, but at the moment it just looks like we're heading to the floor of that channel, and that is it. On to the DAX, and here, shock horror, we're actually below the 200-day line, with gap below it, which is horrific. After the two-day island reversal that we had earlier in the week, or last week, and below the 200-day line there, 23,400, we've got the risk of filling the gap there down to 22,600, that gap there from back in April. Moving on to the Dow, and here I suppose equally a sort of horror story situation, with the market at the floor of the rising trend channel. You could argue about just exactly where it is, so you could say we were still just about within it, but basically the writing on the wall in terms of a potential move down to retest October support there around 45,400. Only back above, I suppose, 47,000 now, really, on an end of day close basis, really suggesting that we're going to head back towards the top of that channel there from July and get our 49,000 target by the end of the year. Moving on to the cryptos, and hasn't been great for Bitcoin. Seems to be bearing the brunt of the hits that crypto area is getting at the moment. We're below the old June support there, 98,000, below the April-May support at 93,000, and while we're below that, we've got the risk of a move down to 86,000, which is potentially the floor of that rising trend channel from this time last year. But the worst case is that we could be down to 76,000 if that is a lower parallel derived from an old uptrend line there from back in September last year. This stage, to get out of jail, we need to see at least an end of day close back above 93,000 to give us a potential move back up to 98,000. Ethereum may be a little bit better in terms of the fact that we've had a bit of a bounce today. In fact, we're bouncing quite hard from just below the 3,000 level, 2950, the sort of support zone there. We had that back in July, and that was resistance, that resistance area back in June. So Ethereum maybe, if you're a fan of the cryptos, maybe the one to bottom fish. Initial resistance here coming at the 200-day line, 3450. I think if we can hold above the 2950 area. Onto gold, and here the picture that of a market, we're sort of expecting it to test, or to have to test, that 50-day line. So far we've managed to avoid it, but 39.55 probably make for a good entry point if you've missed the party so far. Obviously we had the bounce off the 50-day line back in August, and that worked well. RSI still above neutral 50 at 51, so that is also useful. Only an end of day close back below that 50-day line would suggest that we've got to go deeper down towards 38.20, which was initial October resistance. Onto the stocks, and as you might imagine, not too many to talk about. Interesting that Amazing AI, with its reversal of strategy, or change of strategy, has bounced 30%. One would have thought that, given the way that the shares fell by more than a half on when they went for the strategy, changing the strategy should mean that they go back up again, but really up 30%, as opposed to maybe 100 or 150%, which one might have expected. But there is some resistance in the low 30s, so we want to see the shares back above that to then give us maybe the chance of a move back up to 0.5 or 0.6 as a best case scenario near term. On to the situation at Atlantic Lithium, which seems to be on the quiet, doing rather well. We have gone up to our initial target there, around 11 pence, above 11 pence. Not really much there in terms of resistance. I suppose there is resistance up to 13.75, but actually above 11, actually looking for 18 pence. So high hopes there on that one. if we can stay above the 11 pence zone. Cadence is next, and this has also been a stealth riser, which is quite an achievement in the current market. Obviously, we've pulled back from 5 pence today, but at least while we're above that 50-day line there at 3.8 pence, looking for the top of the channel as high as 6.6 pence by the end of next month. G4 Music is a subject close to my heart, Gear for Music rather, and here you can see you've got a rising trend channel. It looks as though people are at home recording their Taylor Swift impersonations. And here we've got a rising trend channel there from March. Top of the channel there heading for 390, and we're looking for that while we're above recent recent broken resistance around the 310 mark. Genedrive doing well. I suppose the last we heard of it, there was somebody who was going to lend the company some money, but here you can see a nice U-shaped turnaround, looking for the 200-day line there at 1.25 pence as a minimum on the upside, while we're above recent support at 3/4 of a penny. But an RSI 50 plus rebound, so that is looking very encouraging. And I suppose, for the sake of completion, one could say we're in a rising trend channel, and the top of the channel here is heading for the line there, which is heading actually as high as 1.5 pence. So let's see if the fundamentals and the technicals mix successfully after the second RSI 50 rebound in a month. Onto image scan, which from memory 2 or 3 hours ago has delivered a decent contract. Here we've got the top of the price channel, falling trend channel there at 2 pence. That's the minimum on the upside. Best case would actually be up to as high as 2.9 pence by the end of next month. If we can, the longer we can hold above that 200-day line at 1.69 pence. On to the last few. The first one is Kodal, where I saw somebody tweeting yesterday that the shares had turned around, and they were absolutely right. Here you can see that we've got this falling trend channel. You could argue that the trend channel is actually higher than what I previously drew, so up to 0.39. Looking for that as a minimum now on the upside. After that, hopefully we're up to 0.5 by the end of the year. But the key here is getting a decent end of day close above the 200-day moving average at 0.33 to give us 0.39 plus over the near term. On to Kefi, which yesterday came up with positive noises about the project it's about to develop. By the end, it will start production. Will start commencing activity on by the end of next month. Here you can see a rising trend channel. Top of the channel there, currently heading towards as high as 2.3 pence. We're looking for that perhaps by the end of January, while we remain above the 50-day line there, 1.3 pence. Finishing up with Zanaga, which is also doing rather well at the moment. Here you can see we've had a breakout, and maybe iron ore is going to be the hot commodity for 2026. What you can see here is that we've got top of the channel there from back in November as high as 14 pence. And we're looking for that while we remain above recent broken resistance at 9.5. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.